Just three short points today as we reflect on the Passion. The first one is this: never forget the reason that Christ was killed. The reason that he was put to death is because he was not the kind of God that people wanted. It didn't fit into the box of how they thought God should operate. He called himself the Christ, the Son of God. That wasn't how they saw this should be. They shouldn't be somebody that they knew. He should have been from some other place. There was all kinds of things that didn't fit their idea of what God should be. Well, I'll tell you this morning, I don't think it's any different in this day and age. I still think we have a lot of people who get mad and reject God because God's not the way they want God to be. You lose somebody in death, somebody gets a disease, your marriage falls apart, you don't like what the Pope says, or the direction the church is going, and you just get mad, and all you want to do is to kill it and get it out of the way. That's what human beings do with things they don't agree with. I don't think we're a lot different 2,000 years later. Our God is much bigger than our puny brains can ever imagine. But he didn't fit their minds, and so they crucified him. Point two. I think that when we reflect on the whole thing about Christ's passion, death, and resurrection, and we think about Peter, good old knucklehead Peter, who denied Jesus 3 times, and we think that could be such a terrible thing, but if we think about really why he denied him, he didn't want to be associated with him, because if they made the connection, it would have ramifications on him. Well, again, I'm here to say that I think 2,000 years later, things are no different. I think that you and I live in a culture where we're educated not to talk about religion or politics in public. We don't ever want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. We don't want to let people know that we're Christians, and so that's denying. Oh, aren't you Catholic? Well, mumble mouth. The denial is no less for us in 2017 than it was for Peter 3 times in the same night, saying, no, I'm not really into that. I don't really know him. He's not really somebody that I know well. Denial is denial is denial. Third point. All of us, some more than others, have had real struggles in life, real challenges. But I'm here to remind us today that none of our struggles, none of the tragedies in our personal lives are ever going to come up to the level of Christ dying for us. They're just not. Might be tough, absolutely. And you might feel like crucifixion in the middle of that, absolutely. But ultimately, none of us are going to have to die because of our faith. None of us. And so if you think about those 3 points as we go into Holy Week, the holiest week of the year, we think about the fact that they killed Jesus because he wasn't the kind of God they wanted. We ask ourselves, do I kind of try to remake God into my own image? Oh, God would never do that, or I don't think God does that, or how can God let these things happen? Do we in our own personal lives, in very much the same way, deny God by not wanting people to know that we're Christian, not wanting people to know that we're Catholic, not wanting people to know that we're people who have faith and values? And thirdly, how many times do we make it all about ourselves, as if the world revolves around us and everything that's happening to us is so terrible, while forgetting that Christ died for us? Died for us. This story that we just got done participating in is our story. It's our life. And the more that we can relate to that, the more we'll understand what Christ came to deliver us from. So that's why this week should look different than all the rest of the weeks of the year. That's why you should plan the rest of your week around the Holy Week activities. Because after all, Jesus gave his life for us. We can certainly go through a few inconveniences in moving some things around in our schedule to help bring to bear in our own minds and in our own hearts the great sacrifice that Christ did for us. God's bigger than our brain. We still deny him, and we still think that it's all about us. Celebrating Palm Sunday puts all those things into graphic perspective.